All right, hey guys. So we are on Survivor season 42, episode, I believe it is episode 6 and 7. I think they had an extra long episode for this one. So as we left off, we had Daniel and Chanel up to be potentially voted out last tribal council. And what they did was they split the votes between Daniel and Chanel. Except well, they didn't really split the votes. I think it was gonna be Daniel getting voted out first, but Chanel, for some reason, instead of voting off Daniel, she voted for Mike, the fireman, which didn't make any sense. But in a revote, they voted out Daniel, and she was trying to explain to Mike that she was nervous and she didn't know what was really going on. That's why she decided to vote for him. And he said, well, I gave you my word that you would be safe. I don't understand why you vote for me. And she was like, well, I was just nervous. Like, why would you vote for me? I don't know why she did that. It was a very bad explanation, but he played it cool and act like everything was okay. But ultimately, her entire tribe didn't really trust her. So we come to this episode, which was an extra long episode. And we came to what was a pre-merge competition where they all had to drop their buffs and they split the tribes down the middle. All right, let's see if I can get a good little freeze frame. Okay, they split the tribes down the middle. Hold on. And they split the tribes down the middle and except two people. Two people are not going to be on either teams. Let's see, review. It's perfect. There we go. As you can see, we have these two that are not on either teams. And these are the two teams. We have Jonathan over here, Lydia, Mariam, I believe this is Hyde, and Tori on one team. And we have Drea, Mike, Romeo, Omar over here in the orange shirt. And this is Chanel right here on one team. And in the middle, you have, what's her name? Can't remember, but I know his name is Roxroy. Can't quite remember her name. But those two are sitting out the competition. So what happens is they're going to go through the competition. Whichever team wins get to choose one of them to join their side. And whoever joins the winning team side is safe and they get to enjoy the reward. The other person gets to go off in isolation on an isolated island, and they will have a decision to make later on in the game. All right, so we get, oops, stop sharing. All right, we go through the competition, and Jonathan basically just blow it out the water for his team, as he usually does. And we can see here, as you can see, they had to dig out these balls in the ground over there and then roll it through the competition, stop at the stage. They stopped at the first stage over there and get a key. And there was a second stage over here where they have to stop and get another key, then roll it to the end, then crawl up a platform. You have to get the whole teams up the platform and then solve a 72-piece puzzle, which is just basically the logo for the season. All right. So Jonathan basically crushed it for his entire team. He got them all the way up there with a huge lead, and they just pretty much had to finish the puzzle. I believe it was Mariam and what's the other woman's name? Mariam and Lydia, yes, were on the puzzle for their team, and they didn't let the lead go, and they kept going, and they ended up finishing before the other team could even get too much into their puzzle. So it was a great competition, and it's good for Jonathan because he's constantly on the winning team that gets reward, which is basically food, which as a big dude, he's going to need way more food than the rest of them. It's like at any time he has to go through starvation, he's going to start losing real bad because his body's just going to be killing itself. Just, yeah. So he won that, and in the end, they had to make a they had to make a decision. They had to choose one person one person out of the two that sat out to join them for the reward and safety. They won reward and safety, and the other person gets to go in isolation, and they have a power that can change the game. Ultimately, they chose to save that woman. I can't remember her name, and they send off Roxroy to isolation. In the end, Roxroy blamed Tori for that because him and Tori kind of had a little conflict that was going on after after Tribal. They didn't really go to Tribal because they're safe, but when he went on that little hiking trip where he chose to protect his vote, he only explained to them that he chose to protect his vote. He didn't explain what else went on the island. I don't know why he decided to keep that a secret. There wasn't much that went on. Most of the people in the game already know what are the choices are going to be, but he kept it a secret from his entire tribe. But I think Romeo and Drea didn't really press him about it, but Tori did because she doesn't trust him, and she kept pestering him to figure out what went on the island. And I don't understand why that happened, but when he was chosen to be exiled, he kind of blamed her for it. I don't know why. There's way more people making the decision than just her, but he kind of blamed her for it. They go to the reward, and Tori's just throwing shade on Roxroy. She's selling out her entire alliance, telling everybody what went down, and she's throwing shade on Roxroy big time. Then Roxroy gets to the island. He's building his shelter. He's doing all these things. I mean, at first, just from the way he was playing the game and his interpersonal skills not being very well, I didn't really like root for him that much. But just seeing him there in isolation and the way he was handling things, I gotta respect him. And hopefully he does well in this game. He seems like he has the trust of a lot of people, despite the way he's playing the game. And yeah, he's very straightforward. So they kind of trust that. And it's mainly Drea and Romeo that trust him. And those two are very influential because they're talking to a lot of people. And Drea is doing the best in the game so far. She has the most power in the game. She has an extra vote. She has an idol. And she also has that three-way idol that can, I think when there's only two, when it all brought together, I believe they can, when there's two of them, they can steal a vote. They can steal a vote. They can get an extra vote when there's all three of them, they can steal a vote. When there's three of them, they get an extra vote, I believe. And when there's just one, that becomes an idol. So it's just, she has all the power in the game. The only the second person to her that has a lot of power would be Miriam. I think Miriam has an idol and she has an extra vote. So I mean, Dre is killing the game so far. All right, we get to, hold on. So we get to a pre-merge sort of thing where Roxroy is in isolation, and the whole tribe comes together, and they all get to talk to each other. And quickly, an 8-person alliance is formed. Oops. 8-person alliance is formed between people that are starting to like each other. I believe it's Jonathan, Mike, Omar, Lydia, Romeo, Hyde, Drea, what's the last one? And Roxroy. Even though he's in isolation, they trust him. So that's the alliance so far that's forming. And everybody else is trying to get into things and see what's going on. The two people that everyone kind of threw under the bus as not being trustworthy is Tori and Chanel, because Chanel betrayed she betrayed Mike and she lied to her tribe many times. And Tori, she's done the same thing. She's done the same thing, but I don't think she was as obvious with it. But the way she moves in the game, very, it's just not trustworthy, especially when she went to the reward. She was immediately selling out her tribe. So they didn't really trust her, even though most of the people that knew her on her tribe wasn't there with her at that moment. They still didn't really trust her. So those two people are the options right now and the targets of the 8-person alliance that is forming. All right, and we get to Roxroy's decision, which he had an hourglass, and it symbolizes his ability to, I think it was overturn the game. The tribe that won safety, well, the couple of people that won safety, they're not really a tribe right now. The people that won safety, he can overturn the decision and give safety to the losing group, and he will be on that group. Since those people that won, they chose someone else to be on their side, he would be on that losing group, so he would be safe as well. And ultimately, and especially since most of the people that he trusted and on his tribe weren't part of that losing team, which was Drea and I believe Romeo. So he ultimately decided to overturn the game, and they come to the previously safe team now have to compete for individual immunity. Let's see, get a little forward right there. There we go. That is the hourglass, and he has to smash it with this thing right here in order to overturn the game. All right, we come to the competition. All right. And this is the competition for individual immunity. They have to balance these blocks right here and spell out immunity from the bottom up. All right. So ultimately, the competition went down, and I believe who was competing? It was Jonathan, Hyde. Hold on. There we go. Could just name. There we go. There we go. We have Tori, Lydia, Hyde over here. This woman, I can't remember her name, and Jonathan over here. These are the ones competing for safety now, which they were previously part of the winning team, and they got the rewards, the food and everything, just not the safety now. In the end, it was Tori right here. Tori right there was the one that won individual immunity. All right. And as you know, the 8-person alliance, they were trying to choose between Tori and Chanel to vote out. But because of the overturning of the safety, now Chanel is safe because she was part of that losing group. And now Tori's safe because she just won individual immunity. So their 2 targets are pretty much gone. So they're scrambling. Immediately, Tori wants to get rid of Jonathan because she wants to win more individual immunity. Chanel also wants to get rid of Jonathan. And and everybody else is sort of getting convinced. But Lydia flipped immediately on the 8, and she wanted to get rid of Jonathan. And then someone else, the lady that I can't remember her name, she hinted that Miriam might have an idol. And then Lydia was now trying to pitch between Miriam and Jonathan. And Jonathan talked to Omar, and even though Omar doesn't have a vote, because when he went to the island, he chose to risk his vote, and he was there with Chanel, and she also chose to risk her vote, even though they both agreed. They both agreed to not risk anything if it might hurt the other person. She still turned around and risked her vote, even though he did the same thing. She made him feel comfortable and made him feel like she wouldn't risk her vote, and which was a bad move, because when she lost her vote, her team was in chaos because she couldn't vote and Mike couldn't vote. So it was a bad move for her to do that. There was no reason for her to do that. So because she kind of betrayed his trust, now he doesn't trust her, and he wanted to that's another reason why they also wanted to get rid of her. So Omar doesn't have a vote, so he was just going to say nothing. But Jonathan convinced him to be on his side and fight to protect him. And as Omar is going around trying to pitch who should go home, he was trying to pitch Miriam to protect Jonathan. But then Lydia tried to convince him that she doesn't really know, and she wants to take out Jonathan. And he used that information to then talk to everybody else in the alliance and point out how Lydia is now flipping, and they can't trust her, and they should get her out. So he's trying to flip the vote from between Jonathan and Miriam to Lydia. And he spoke to pretty much everyone in the alliance. And then, but even in the alliance, Lydia wasn't the only one that was doing that. Romeo, who's also part of the alliance, immediately wanted to get rid of Jonathan. I don't know what's Romeo's deal, but for some reason, the fact that Jonathan intimidates him, and he doesn't like masculine men. Like, he's extremely prejudiced against men and masculinity for some reason. I get that he's a pageant coach, and he's also part of the LGBT, and he likes to be around strong women, but there's no reason for him to be against masculine men, and especially someone that's been nice to him the whole game. He hasn't done it, but he just doesn't like, if he feels threatened by masculinity for some reason, and he wanted to get rid of Jonathan because of it, especially because Mike had a good relationship with Jonathan, and Mike kind of looks up to him because he's a strong dude, and Mike used to be like that when he was younger, so he kind of admires that in Jonathan. And that, I don't know, that kind of rubbed Romeo the wrong way. So he also, being part of the 8-person alliance, also wanted to get rid of Jonathan, but no one really said anything about it. So it just became now just a Lydia thing, and Lydia's now taking all the heat because Omar decided to use her. And he never really talked to Romeo, so he didn't even know Romeo was even on that time to get rid of Jonathan. But I guess if he did, he would have probably had a harder time trying to flip the votes against Romeo, because Romeo was safe. So it makes sense why he did what he did. So we have all this conflict where the new alliance that just formed, they're just 8 people. Now they're just crumbling because they're in this situation because their 2 targets are safe. And yeah, and they're just scrambling. And I already knew Jonathan's strength is going to work against him, and people are going to try to vote him out. And yeah, but he built good relationships with people. His social game is pretty good. He's not good at puzzles. He's only good at the physical stuff, but his social game is pretty good. He's strong in challenges. He's good in socially. He's a good contender to win. People are nervous that he's going to go on a streak and start just winning immunities, but I don't think he will. He's not going to be able to do it. He's not going to be able to do the endurance comps because he's way too heavy. He's too big. He's going to have to hold up his own body weight the whole time. He can't he can't do. He might be able to pull it out, but I don't think he will. And also puzzles. Puzzles is going to be a big part of the game. If he can't do puzzles, he's just not going to be able to go on a winning streak. So he need that social game really badly right now. And he looks like he's doing it because now he has Omar on his side, just fighting that battle for him. All right, so we go down, and Omar also told Miriam about Lydia trying to get rid of her and possibly trying to get rid of her possibly because of her idol, which Miriam. Yes, Miriam. I said it correctly. He told Miriam about that, and that got Miriam nervous, and she's crying on all this, and she's nervous, and she doesn't really want to play her idol, but she doesn't really want to go home. So that gave her a reason to also vote out Lydia. Good move all around. But when he told Hyde about his plan, Hyde was not down for that. He was the same guy that was willing to go to rocks to save Lydia. And right now he doesn't want to get rid of Lydia because he sees her as one of his people, and he's trying to build an army. That's why he was the main part of starting that 8-person alliance, because he was trying to build an army around him to keep himself safe. So when he heard about Lydia possibly being a target, he was not down for that, and he was trying to pitch the game towards Miriam, and he was just not having it. So he was just looking at it as it's going to be between Jonathan and Miriam. So we go to tribal council, and everyone is talking. No one is giving up their game, but ultimately we go to vote. No one chose the shot in the dark, which would possibly give them a chance at immunity in exchange for not voting. And Miriam didn't play her immunity idol. So the votes came down. It was 2 votes for Jonathan, 2 votes for Miriam. I think 1 vote for, who was it? The other lady, the one that I can't remember her name. Damn it. It had to be her, right? Eventually I'm going to remember her name. She just got to do more in this game. But she's also part of the 3-person advantage, where if there's only one of them left in the game, that advantage becomes an idol. So, but I guess, so she is doing something, but I just can't remember her name. So ultimately the votes come down, and it was 5 votes to evict Lydia. So Omar did his job, and Lydia went home. I believe that the 2 people that chose to vote Jonathan was Chanel and Tori, the 2 people that was really out to get him. And the 2 people that the 8-person alliance wants out, they were the ones that voted him out. The ones to vote to evict Miriam was Lydia and who's the other one? Lydia and Romeo, I believe. And everyone else, including Hyde, who wanted to save Lydia, voted out Lydia. I guess the numbers wasn't on his side, and he decided to go with the numbers, especially since he wanted to build that alliance. He wants numbers on his side. He didn't really rock the boat too much. So there you have it. Lydia goes home. First person out of the 8-person alliance. They took a shot at their own. Maybe they're gonna try to bring Miriam in to the alliance to replace Lydia, but so it is. So we'll see how it's gonna go on the next Survivor. See you guys next time.